now. All right. Well, good morning. Thank you for joining this call or this webinar. I'm very sorry about the time confusion. I hope we didn't turn around your schedules of today. So to begin with, my name is Jenny. I work for the European Federation for Intercultural Learning, where I'm the coordinator of PEACE. And here with me is Hanan, who is the EVS in the FL office. Just to begin with, we would like to ask you to mute your microphones when you're not speaking. And if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat or even just ask, but there will also be given space after for questions. In this call, we're going to go over PEACE and what you need to know about PEACE. And then we are going to talk a little bit about these two new elements, GCNU or Global Citizen and You, and Active Project. And then we're going to go a little bit over sending and hosting recruitment and the cycles for 2019 and 2020. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the issues that we have faced and how we're going to address them. So what is PEACE? The PEACE in Europe and Asia through Global Citizenship Education is a trimester secondary school exchange program between countries in Europe and Asia, which is centered on the themes of global and active citizenship education. A little bit like the ECTP, if you know that. The program has been in development since 2016 and is a cooperation between FL and AAI. For those of you who do not know what AAI mean, it is basically, well, there are different realities and different how the organizations work, but it's basically the FL of Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. It is a 3-month exchange program with two new elements and one that the European partners are familiar with. So it's the Global Citizen and You active project, and then of course the final camp in Brussels and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. As I said, the program is 3-month exchange program, and the pilot phase has been going on now since 2018, where the first participants of the program came from Asia to Europe. It was very successful, and it was very, you could see that these new elements, the global citizenship in you, or the global citizen in you, and the active project, and then the camp was very popular and very popular among the participants. Oops, sorry. Now the first European participants are going from Europe to Asia, which is very exciting, and ending with the final camp in Kuala Lumpur. Please note that these dates, they will be different from 2019, and we will talk about that a little bit later in this call. What makes the program great, in our opinion, is this great focus on global citizenship education and change making, and is strongly connected to the AFS mission. And then of course the camps, the final camps in Brussels and Kuala Lumpur. The Global Citizen and You, Hanan is going to talk about that a little bit further, but to begin with, it's basically a general research on global issues based on the PEACE topics that you can find in the student manual. And then there's the active project, which is a voluntary or community project in the hosting country. But yes, Hanan.
Hello everyone, I'm Hanan, the EVS volunteer at FL, and I'm also going to be one of the main people for the Peace Camp in Malaysia in November. So basically, GCNU and Active Project are two main events or projects which students have to, not have to, but like we encourage students to take on before and during their exchange, just to help them understand what is global citizenship education. So what is GCNU? Maybe we can have the next slide, Yanni. Okay, great. So these are some of the topics that we have identified just to help students prepare for their GCNU projects, and you can find these in the student manual. They don't really have to follow all of these topics, but it's good just to have a start on like where they can begin with finding a topic on global citizenship issues. And we also have a definition of what is global citizenship from what we understand in the peace context, and you can also find this in the manual. Can we have the next slide? Yes. Thank you. So GCNU, the project begins before they depart for their exchange, and some of the things that we can do as staff or volunteer is to provide support for the participants in order to help them understand like what needs to be done for them to get like a wholesome experience in understanding global citizenship education. And from my understanding, in the previous cycle, the sending countries would give the students sort of a briefing on what is global citizenship in you and what to do. So it starts from before participants depart, and then once they are on the exchange, they will get support by either FL or AI, depending if they're in Europe or in Asia. And this is done through social media, the students support Facebook group, and also to their emails. Besides that, in the next in the NH18 cycle, we will also have a webinar to help students understand GCNU also active projects better. And we will have this sometime in the end of August before pre-departure. So they will receive an email from the EVS volunteer in charge of peace who is in Malaysia at the moment in August. Besides that, the hosting country also, the AFS in the hosting country also plays a very important role in supporting students. And for the GCNU, it's only about being engaged with them about issues that they choose in the reality of the hosting country. So the active project is, okay. Oh, okay. So based on the camp that we had in April, these were the main topics that the students chose. So environment, peace and conflict, youth empowerment, women and children's rights. We had 9 participants in the last cycle, and these were the topics that they chose. Okay, so the active project, it's sort of, the idea is that it's sort of a continuation from what they have researched in global citizenship in you. However, the active project does not have to be in the same field as what they research in GCNU. It depends more on the volunteering opportunities in the local realities of the hosting country. Okay. So this usually takes place, I mean, this is expected to take place maybe in the first or second month, where participants start to explore issues and find maybe possible organizations that they can volunteer for. And in the first stage, in the first or second month, they might need some help from their local chapters in helping them identify where they can volunteer and what is possible in the reality of the country. And then afterwards, they will choose a project and write a proposal and send it to the hosting organization. we encourage at least 10 hours of volunteering service, and this can be done either maybe once a 1 hour sessions up to 10 hours, or maybe it can even be done in just one day. And we have examples of this in the student manual also. Okay, and the last thing is that there will be a sharing of what was done in GCNU and also Active Project during the camp, so that they can learn from each other and also share what they were doing. So right now we are looking at the flow of how the Active Project is implemented, and you can also find this in the manual for volunteers. Okay. So these are some of the examples of active projects from what was shared during the camp. And if you can see, all of them are very different, and it focuses on environment and then youth empowerment. Some focused on maybe sharing their culture. Some volunteered at Center for Refugees. Some were helping disabled people. So you can see how like they find different things to do. Okay.
Thank you, Hannah. And then, oops. So then we have, of course, the final camp, and this is similar to the ECTP program. Of course, it serves as a sort of end of stay where they share their experiences and re-entry, but it has these added elements of global citizenship and change making, where they receive trainings from volunteers. They also get a chance to share their projects, their active projects on GCNU, and this was very popular among them, and they were eager to share what they did. And maybe one more point about GCNU and Active Project. Yes, of course, we will not send them home if they won't do it, but at the same time, it is part of the program, and in the end, it's very nice for them to get to share in the end. So we really highly encourage you to encourage them to do it. And then, at least in Brussels, we visited the European Parliament, which was really popular among the participants. And it's not, and there will be some sort of similar thing in Kuala Lumpur, but of course there's no, I don't know, Asian Parliament there, but they will have some sort of day trip and see nice things. So now let's go a little bit to numbers and cycles. To begin with, these were the numbers of participants for the pilot. For SH18 going in January, there were 9 participants from India, Indonesia, and Thailand, but we were planning on sending 30 participants. And then also for NH18, we are sending 11 students from Europe to Asia, which will be exciting to see how it will go. But again, we were also aiming at 30 participants. There are many reasons for this and different factors. Too little time for recruitment, for example, dates that don't work for all, especially in the from the Asian side, because there are different summer vacations, different school years, and so on. And then not enough promotional material, change in the FL office, and of course, in the end, new programs need time to grow. And this was the pilot, so we have learned from it, we believe. And what we did is that we, for example, we reached out to AAI and FL partners, and when it came to dates, especially, and the best solution was to have three different cycles, so SH19, Summer 19, and NH19. The numbers that we estimate are based on how many students each and every partner said that they could send. And of course, what is very nice now is that we have welcomed more partner organizations to join the program, but before it was only the project participants who were partner organizations that helped developing this new and exciting program. And then, yes, we dates are ready until SH20 now, so there's time to recruit. And then we have also developed a PR kit, as we call it, which we will present a little bit later and go over, and hopefully it will be helpful to you. These are the cycles in 2019 and also 20. As you can see, you can both see dates and dates of final camp in Brussels and Kuala Lumpur, the sending countries and hosting countries. Different from SH19 and SH20 is that for SH20 we are also welcoming European partners to send within Europe. But for SH19 it's only a few Asian partners sending to Europe. However, if some European partners are interested, you can always check to see if somebody, in the end there will be a final camp in Brussels. So yes. Now, added value of the program, as we mentioned before, it is very content rich and very mission driven, and it adds diversity to AFS programs. There are more options in sending and hosting, and of course now 1-year program does not work for all, so now we are offering more options when it comes to 3-month or trimester programs. So now you can not only send to Europe or within Europe, but you can also send to Asia, and of course Asian partners can send to Europe. And I'm sorry, by Asian partners, I'm also talking about AAI partners, so there we also have Australia and New Zealand. So yes. Like we said before, issues in recruitment before, we noticed that there was not a lot of visibility of peace on the AFS partner websites, lack of promotional material from us, and lack of maybe understanding of the program. But of course, it takes time to implement a program, it takes time to grow and so on. So, and that's why we are here, that's why we're trying to explain the program as well as possible and make it as easy for you as possible. When should we start recruitment? Of course, as always, this is always agreed between partners, but what is important is that the number of participants for the final camps are reported to us, and there we have different deadlines. And for SH19 it's rather late, 10th of November. It's also because people are only starting recruiting now, but when the time goes and when it becomes more stable as a program, the deadline will be earlier. This does not mean that you cannot add participants. We can always look into that, but it's more about cancellation fees and so on. Now we are going to take a look at the promotional material folder that we have made so nicely. We have shared it with a lot of you. If there have been some issues about entering this folder, it is because you can only enter it if you have an afs.org email. But it's not a problem for us to share it also with individuals that do not have AFS emails. This is, for example, AFS Italy and AFS Germany that have a little bit difference, and also, of course, volunteers. But now let's take a look at the folder. Some of you don't have on your websites anything about the PEACE program, and we encourage you to do so to make it as accessible for potential participants. Here you have the logo, you have a little bit of information about PEACE, of course in English, so you have to translate it to your language. You have short explanations about the 2 projects. Then you should also add things about the the countries, sending and hosting countries, I'm sorry. And then you can also find very nice examples of the web page here. For example, here's very nice about the program, and then you can also see the different options. Oops. How can I'm sorry. Oh yeah. And yes. Then we have quotes. This was requested by one of you that to have more quotes for promotional material. So here's both quotes from participants from the SH, and we will continue adding to this once the next cycle starts, and then also from some volunteers. This is mostly from Instagram. Then we have the projects. So here are very nice examples of how Hanan shared the instructions on GCNU and on the active project on the Facebook group that all the participants will be added to. And then we also have examples of letters to, for example, NGOs that can possibly invite the participants to do some sort of community or volunteer service. And then we also have some projects from the former participants and kind of a sheet where they can fill in their active projects and GCNU here. Then we have we had this morning another call with the AAI partners, and one of the suggestions was to share PR material from different partners. So if you have something nice, you have been promoting it in a very nice way, and you can give others idea, we can add it to this folder. Then we have photos and videos. Here's a video from AFS India that they made for us. It's very nice. Then we have some photos, and we are always going to be adding to this. We have also instructions on how to put it on Marketplace, or at least an example of text, and to make it as available as possible to the sending organizations that you're willing to host. And then manuals. This will provide you with very nice information, both the student manual and the volunteer manual. We have the logos in all forms. And then some logistical information. This is, for example, the dates, and then idea of to give you an idea of the hosting fees in each, and transfer prices. Note that the transfer prices are in US dollars, but the camp fee of Asia and Europe should also be included, of course, in the price, and these are in euros. So yes, and also another point from the meeting before was to encourage everyone to have their transfer prices on Marketplace and share them with, so they can make a price. Okay. Now, so which way forward? We encourage you to, of course, create a new peace hosting program on Marketplace. AFS Italy had a very nice example of this. So if you want to see something or get an example. Negotiations for hosting spots, of course, this is a little bit, we encourage you to be a little bit flexible about this, because we have to help each other to help the program grow. And then, of course, to add peace to the website, you can see the webpage guide that we just showed you in the promotional material folder. And then to decide on transfer fees and program fees. And then, of course, promote. And you can find, as I mentioned before, you can find photos and videos in the folder that we just showed you. Now we have space for questions, but before I want to get, because now both AFS Hungary and AFS Iceland are sending students, and we wanted to ask them to share a little bit about their experience on how it was to recruit, was it difficult, and so on. So maybe if Austis, are you there?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me well? Hope so. Yes, so AFS Iceland is sending 3 participants on this next cycle, and we have received a very positive response on the program, and we actually decided to give out 2 grants to participants, and promoted it very widely on social media and received very promising responses. And in the end, the 3 participants that we felt the strongest about will be going on programs. So yes, we are very happy with that. And we have also received a very positive response from the schools that we are in cooperation with. So we feel that it's going quite well. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Austis. And then Diana, are you there?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. We are sending 2 participants, and for us, the biggest catch was the destination and the duration. So the piece content is just an added element or added value to the program. So it was an easy selling for us, as I said, because of the destination and the time frame. The 3 months was appealing. So we hope to generate more interest for the coming programs. We didn't put any addition. We marketed it on our website and shared it with our volunteers, the chapter president. And for this year, it seems successful. We didn't put any extra PR campaign to this. We wanted to see at first to get some experience on the sending side as well. And then I think next year we can have a more, like a better campaign to generate even more interest and use the experience of both sending and hosting.
Diana, so are there any questions? I had actually a question from somebody before about the cycles, that they are a little bit, the dates are a little bit, that they feel like the dates are always changing and that it's a little bit uncomfortable. But in fact, after gathering all information from everyone, these seem to be the dates that work for most. And I think what we foresee that these dates will stick, or they will stay. But other than that, are there any more questions?
I have one. Maybe it's I missed something, but I don't see AFS Hungary in the participating organizations. I don't know if I missed some kind of a reply to you. That's why, or it's just.
You know, it can very well have a mistake from our side, but I will make sure to add it. There were also 2 other organizations that were actually missing as well. So.
Okay, no, I just wanted to check to see if I missed something, then I would definitely answer those. Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else that is unclear? Do the camps in Europe, ESTP, okay, so yes, they will overlap, but still we will, of course, keep the European citizenship element in the ESTP and then have some sort of separate thing for the peace ones. It's a little bit, we will, when the time comes, we will let you know how it will be exactly. Will Japan be hosting country for the summer? Not for this cycle, no, but hopefully in the future. Okay. If there are no more questions, then we would like to thank you for joining this call, and sorry again about the time misunderstanding. We have recorded this, so you can always listen to it again, or if there are colleagues that do you have material for the sending countries to prepare the students. We have only the volunteer manual, which we are currently, there's a team updating this, so hopefully it will be more precise, but no, not specifically. Okay. If there are no more, but the volunteers manual, yes. So the volunteer manual is in this peace promotional material folder. If you cannot find this, or this hasn't been shared with you, then just send me an email and I will add you to the folder. But it's under here, under manuals, where you can find the very, very nice volunteer manual, and where you can find a lot of information. Okay. So thank you all for joining, and we will share the recording of this call after the meeting. Thank you so much.